A very good morning. And a very good morning to you watching the Morning Cafe Show. I am Shiksha Arora, and of course I will be guiding this conversation with regards to foster care and what exactly it is. Now remember, families have been advised to really move from the traditional way of institutionalizing kids who don't really have families or who are orphans, and moving away from that. We'd like to actually get people to come out and actually get these kids and care for them as their own. And that's what foster care really is. So we'll be going into the details of what it is, how we can manage to foster a child here in Kenya. We've seen foster care gaining momentum across the world. We've seen different countries coming across and, just talking about how important it is to get foster care and really just make sure that kids don't suffer in the long run, because we've seen the effects of having them in an institution and rather than having them in a family setting and what it does to them mentally, emotionally, physically. So we'll be talking about this. With me, I have Jane Munuhe, and there she is. Good morning to you, Jane. How are you today?
Good morning, Aurora. I am good.
You're looking lovely.
Thank you so much.
All right, and of course, Jane is the Assistant Director, Children's Services. And I also have Mercy Wambui Mugo, Safeguarding Lead Organization. That's Tushinde Children's Trust. We've got Mercy Wambui Mugo.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you ladies today?
Good.
Yes, good to have you right here at TV47. Now, ladies, let's talk about how important it is for children, firstly, and then we'll also get into other things later on. But let's just focus on the children and why it's important for them to be under foster care rather than having them in an institution. I'll start off with you, Jane.
So thank you so much, Aurora. And it is important I say that I work with the Directorate of Children's Services, and this is the directorate that has been mandated by law.
Yes.
To protect the children.
Absolutely.
And ensure they're well safeguarded through implementation of different policies.
Yes.
Through supervision and of course coordination of all the actors who are in this sector. And the Directorate of Children's Services, it delivers its mandate through different departments.
Yes.
That again are mandated to do different work. For example, we have a department that is called the Alternative Family Care Department.
Okay.
And this is the department that oversees the implementation of alternative care services for that child who has been separated with the family.
Yes.
And of course, let me say that we have a new government directive that all children in Kenya should be brought up in families and in community because that is where they thrive best. So we have what we are calling the child care reforms, trying to transform the child care system from taking care of children in the institution, but focusing on taking care of children in the families and in the community, because that is where they belong. And of course, there are so many advantages and benefits of a child being raised up in the family and the community. And one of the benefits, like you have asked, it's that in the family and in the community, the children have a sense of belonging and identity. That a child is able to identify themselves with a family, a child is able to identify themselves with a community, with a culture, with a language. Very important for a child and for everyone who is living in this world.
Yes.
So the other benefit of a child living in the family and the community is that the child is able to get to learn family values. It's only a family that can impact family values to a child, as opposed to those ones who are living in the institution. The other benefit, a child who is being brought up in the family, they are able to get the life skills.
Yes.
Yes, they can wash their clothes, they can wash themselves, they can sweep the houses, as opposed to that child that we are raising in the institution. Most of these institutions, they are well endowed with resources, so they have employed staff.
Yes.
The staff are doing everything for these children. And so at the end of the day, the children are not impacted with life skills. And you can imagine of that child who has no life skill, there will come a time when that child will be told, now go back to the community. They have no life skill, they are not able to cope. And then we also have the issues of inheritance. One of the emerging issues that we have realized at the Directorate of Children's Services is that some of the family members are pushing children out of the family so that they can disinherit them.
Wow.
Yes. And so when children are in the families, there is that likelihood that their property that have been left behind by their parents will be protected and children will not be disinherited. But the most important one is that in a family setup, there is that what we call a consistent caregiver.
Absolutely.
Which is very important.
Yes.
Because studies have shown that the interactions between a child and a caregiver impact on who they become in future.
Yeah.
As opposed to having them in the institution whereby we have changes of caregivers. Caregivers are working in shift. At the end of the day, the child is not able to have that consistent caregiving. The child is not able to attach themselves with one caregiver, which affects them even in their adulthood.
All right.
Yes.
Now, Mercy, of course, we are going to be going to the National Foster Care Week. It is going to be celebrated both at the national and the county levels. And this week-long county level activities will really just culminate into a national level where we'll be bringing together both state and the non-state actors to really achieve the objectives. Now, what exactly do you think some of the objectives are when it comes to foster care and how the government really tries to make sure that these children, there's about 45,000 of them, if I'm not wrong, who are living in over 902 privately run residential, charitable children's institutions, that's CCIs. So what exactly are some of these objectives that will ensure that these children will get the foster care that they deserve?
Sure. So let me say I work with Tushinde Children's Trust.
Amazing.
This is an organization in Mathare, Kiambu, and an extension of Mlango Kubwa.
Okay.
Where we are doing family strengthening. We have been having this program for the last 15 years.
Wow. In
the informal settlements of Mathare and Kiambu, and we are looking to expand further to other informal settlements in Kenya.
Okay.
For us, we have been partnering with the Directorate of Children's Services to ensure that children are protected, because for us as an organization, our point of entry to the family is through the child.
Okay.
Through the sponsorship programs and through ensuring that children are safeguarded in the right way.
Yes.
When it comes to foster care, there is the issue of creating awareness in the communities for them to embrace this particular pillar.
For them to be open to it.
Yes, because there is some sort of children needing a lot of support in the communities that we are serving, especially in the informal settlements, where children are abandoned, children are defiled, children are abused in other forms, and we ensure that protecting them only comes from the DCS.
Yes.
Because they are the government, number one, protecting children agency.
Okay.
So for us, we partner with them to ensure that awareness is created. We partner with them to ensure that the community is at par with everything that is happening when it comes to child protection and safeguarding. So mostly in the first objective that we need to have as non-state and the government State Department of Children's Services, it is that when children are in the communities and go through forms of abuse, number one is to ensure that there is maybe some financial support to the foster parents who are upcoming and who are being trained to be foster parents in different sub-counties.
Okay.
For us, we are partnering with them to ensure that once we identify caregivers who want to be fostered, who want to be foster parents, we forward to them for screening, we forward to them for training. We collaborate to ensure that these caregivers are trained and that they are certified. I
was actually going to get to that as well. I'll just hold you there for a little bit so that you can elaborate what exactly the process is. From the time that you identify that this person wants to be open to caregiving and be a foster parent, what happens from that moment to until they finally get to be accountable and of course be that child's foster parent? And how long does it take?
Okay. So for us, once we identify these caregivers, we send them to the DCS.
Okay.
We partner with the 3 offices in the 3 sub-counties that we are working with. We have Ruaraka sub-county, we have the Mathare, and we have the Kamukoji sub-county. All those sub-counties, all the children officers in those sub-counties are trained as trainer of trainers in foster care. So what we do, once we identify a parent, we send them to the DCS.
Okay.
We send them to the Ruaraka office, to the Kamukoji office, and to the Mathare office, where they will go and declare their interest with the sub-county children officer. Once we have a pool of maybe 15 or 10 foster parents who can be screened and pre-trained to wait for certification, the DCAs will collaboratively conduct the training, where this caregiver will be trained on the do's and don'ts in foster care. Like for instance, a child who is fostered should not be moved from one county to another without the acknowledgement of the Children's Office.
Okay.
Because again, that can lead to trafficking. Some people may come in posing as foster parents, but the intention is to traffic.
Yeah.
So all that is on the DCAs. It's on their shoulders to ensure that even after the fostered child goes to a foster parent, there is that care, there is that protection even at that level.
Yes.
So this caregiver, once they are trained, they are certified, and they are also kept in waiting to start receiving children who need care and protection. There is the CPIMS, where they are enrolled and they are listed as foster parents within their areas.
Okay.
If there is any child who needs protection, any child who has been abused, any child who has been abandoned, every other children officer in that area knows that there is so and so who is a foster parent in this area, and we can place this child there. So this is a process that does not end in 1 week or 2 weeks, because we need to conduct screening.
So it's a month-long process.
Yes, because we need to do a family assessment. We need to ensure that we visit that household.
Yes.
We see where the child will be staying. We speak to the other children in that family to ensure that this child will be accepted even by the ones that they are finding. We need also to conduct the assessment from the child themselves on maybe what they have gone through, and we just need to ensure that all the gatekeepers and community actors in that area are aware. So we end up working with the chief, we end up working with the CPVs, they are the child protection volunteers. We ensure we work with Nyumba Kumi, who will be the eyes for the DCAs to ensure that the child is in good state and that the environment is favoring the child as opposed to where the child has been removed from.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mercy. Now, Jane, let's talk about how in 2022 the government of Kenya actually launched the National Care Reform Strategy for Children. And since then, I want to know, how has the uptake been? Has there been more openness to be able to foster kids? Has there been an increased number of parents coming forward saying that they actually want to be foster parents? How has it been received in society?
Well, yes, the National Care Reform Strategy was launched in the year 2022.
Yes.
And of course, it has given provision for foster care.
Yes.
And yes, as you ask, yes, there has been an increase in uptake. And this increase in uptake has been necessitated by the fact that there has been a lot of campaign, a lot of awareness creation.
And what are some of these campaigns that have been, I guess, launched to be able to just create awareness regarding foster care?
Yes, we have been doing campaign through various forums, including the community has been sensitized.
Amazing.
So many communities have been sensitized through the chief's barazas, through the many meetings that we've been holding with the communities, through the media.
That's great.
And so many other forums. So with this campaign, we're calling it the sensitization awareness on the importance of a child growing up in the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because one of the big challenges that we had before was that institutional care for children is and was something that was well accepted by all of us.
Yes.
Both from the top all the way down. The communities really accepted and embraced institutional care for children, but this was necessary. This was because we did not understand the harm that is caused to a child who is being raised up in the institution. So the sensitization and awareness creation has been put forward to try and at least change the mindset of the people so that we can get the buy-in.
Yes.
That is where we began. And so in the communities, I can say, and in some of the counties that we have been piloting the care reform, there has been a lot of sensitization. There has been a lot of change of mindset and attitude, and people are coming up, from the community members are coming up and taking in children who are not theirs, and at the same time trying to prevent separation of families. Yes.
Right. Now, let's talk about what happens after foster care. I'm very curious to know, because we do know that a parent will take a child in, they will nurture them, they will take care of them, they will provide them with the love, the guidance that they need. But what happens after that short period of time is done? Because we do know that foster care is temporary, right? It is not a permanent way of life. So what happens after that? Maybe both of you can give your input. We'll start off with you, Mercy.
Yeah. So for us, once this caregiver has a child placed in their household, number one of what happens, I'll take you to a bit of the case management in foster care.
Okay.
So case management in foster care is very different. It has a set of actions that need to be set to ensure that at least the child does not suffer what they were suffering before at this particular household.
Okay.
So the number one, when it comes to this particular case management, after the family assessment and everything, when the child is placed, immediately after placement, we start thinking of the exit plan of this child. So number one, we first of all start doing the tracing. Because, like for instance, in our organization in Tushinde, in the informal settlements, there are people living in Mathare, living in Kiambio, living in Kibera and other areas in Kenya, but they have a place where they call Ushago. They have a place they call upcountry.
Yes.
So immediately this placement is done. In collaboration with the DCS, we start off the tracing of the kins of this child. Maybe it is maybe a child who has been abandoned, or it is a child whose parents have been detained or has undergone abuse. For us to ensure that this child will not stay in the foster care premises for so long, once the tracing begins, we are able to know who in the extended family can take care of this child.
Okay.
If there is an uncle or an auntie somewhere in the upcountry, there is the children's office on that end. We will get a referral letter from the Mathare, Ruaraka or Kamukoji Children's Office, where we will be referred to a children's office in Busia to ensure that when we do this particular tracing, we are accompanied by government officials, a CPV or the children's officers themselves to go assess the family, inform them that there is so and so child. Do you know this child? And they know maybe the children, they have been living in Mathare. So we are able to just ensure that there is somebody
from the family or the extended family as well.
Extended family who can take up this particular child when they're coming from the foster parent.
Okay.
And
yes, Jane.
Just to add to that, other than taking the children to members of the extended family, placement of a child in foster care. When we place a child in foster care, as you have alluded to, foster care is temporary in nature. Yes. So placing that child, it means the child will just be there on temporary basis, as the government and other stakeholders are looking for permanent solution for that particular child.
Okay.
Probably the family had an issue. So, for example, a child who has been rescued from abuse, or the child was neglected, the family is there, but they are neglecting the family. So once we take up the child and we place them under foster care, we don't leave the family just like that. There will be intervention to empower the family
as well.
Because the end goal is to return that child back to the families of origin. And in instances whereby we are not able to return the child back to the families of origin or to the natural families, and we are not able to get a member of the extended family to take in that child, then the government has provided other forms of alternative care where that child can be placed into. Which are? Which are like adoption.
Okay.
Yes. If the child is not able to be returned to the family,
there's other options.
There are other options. For example, adoption. Adoption is a permanent form of care for a child who has been separated with the family. So the child can go that way. We have other options like guardianship. And guardianship is a long-term form of alternative care for a child, whereby a child can be placed under guardianship for even 18 years. And guardianship orders can be extended up to up to the time the child attains 21 years.
Okay.
So we have all those different forms of alternative care for that
amazing.
child.
Now, ladies, we only have 2 minutes left, so I'd like to keep this next question very short, and then after that we can go to our closing remarks. So I'm going to start off with you, Mercy. You know, in your experience as working for NGOs, of course, as working for a trust, what are some of the things that you've noticed in the sense of the foster care parents? You'll also talk on behalf of the children. How do both these parties benefit? Because as I said, it's quite a temporary solution.
Yes.
But like in that short period of time, how does it change both the parent and the child?
So when it comes to the organizations and dealing with foster parents,
Yes.
there are different needs.
Okay.
Maybe this child comes with different needs, especially for children who are maybe coming from families where there was abuse.
Yes. So they require special attention.
Sure. So every child has a tailored intervention.
Okay.
When it comes to the needs that they are having. We conduct the child assessment, we conduct the family assessment. The family assessment in this case is both the family of origin and the foster family. Most of these parents who are becoming foster parents are aware that foster care is not a payable thing to do. They are not paid
Yes.
to be foster parents.
Yes.
What they are given is the tailored support according to the interventions needed for every particular child.
Okay.
You may find that a foster parent is able to take care of the child when it comes to meals, when it comes to shelter, when it comes to clothing. And maybe where this foster parent will be needing support is when it comes to school fees, or maybe when it comes to shopping or other medical issues. As for us, we do not have a kitty or a budget where we say this is for the foster parents to be given once they foster a child. No. We are working with partners.
Okay.
For instance, we are working with partners who are dealing with health issues.
Yes.
We are also working with other partners who bring other donations in kind.
Yes.
And as a trust, we are able to map partners who are giving back to the community. For instance, we have partnership with the German doctors in Mathare. That is a health center where they serve the Mathare community. If we have a child placed in foster care and the child is unwell and the caregiver is not able to take the child to the hospital,
yes.
immediately we take up the case and we do a referral to our partner.
That's amazing.
We're also partnering with institutions like Breban. They really support us when it comes to food.
Wow.
They give a lot of donations. We're also partnering with other advocates, the Chebego advocates in Nairobi, where we ensure that all these children who are fostered and maybe they underwent defilement, they have a representation at the court, and the foster parents won't keep on going for court summons and everything. There is somebody at least to represent these children. So for us, we ensure that we bring together partners to pool resources to ensure that these children are well provided for when they are with these particular parents. But most of them are able to provide.
Okay.
What we do is just partner with the schools within our areas.
Yes.
Because when a referral is coming from an organization to a school, we are able to describe why we need to have this child in this particular school, that this is a fostered child who was in this institution, but we are not able to continue having this child there because of ABCD reasons. And because of those reasons, we would like you to enroll this child to your school immediately to ensure that there's school retention and that there's the continuity of learning for this child.
Okay.
Also community daycares in the setup that we have. We have partnered with like 4 community daycares to ensure that if there is a caregiver who receives a child who is maybe 2 years old, this caregiver has a job maybe where they are going during the day, who will watch over the child when the caregiver maybe goes to run some errands or to do something. We partner with those daycares to ensure that these children are kept as a safe haven until maybe like 2-3 hours when the caregiver who is under taking watch of this child is able to come back and pick the child.
Okay. Yes, Jane, you know, on the same, what are some of the things that you have observed in terms of foster care and how in the long run it is very beneficial for both the child and the parents as well? Because we said that it's very important for the child, but what about the parent? How does it affect the parent emotionally, mentally?
When they take in the child?
Yes, the foster parent.
The foster parent. Of course, one of the things that I need to highlight is that the child who is going into foster care.
Yes.
Most of these children are children who are coming from difficult backgrounds. Because when you look at the Children Act, Section 144, it provides the categories of children who are in need of care and protection.
Okay.
The abandoned children.
Yes.
The abused children. You see, children who have been neglected. So those children are coming from difficult background, and now they're being placed with a foster parent. It is not easy for a parent to take care of such a child. So sometimes it brings a lot of burnout. Yeah, because children have, those children may exhibit some behavior
Yes.
problems, and this parent may not be able to handle that. So they get a lot of burnout.
Okay.
They get a lot of burnout.
Okay.
And sometimes when the parents taking these children, they grow these very strong attachments with these children. But at the same time, we are saying foster care is temporary. So at the point we are thinking of now removing that child and probably returning the child back to the parent, it becomes an issue because of the strong attachment. And that is something that we have to work on.
So do you have some counseling services for the parent?
Yes, we do have some counseling services. But the most important thing is that as parents are coming forward to foster children, we impact them in the information that foster care in its very nature is temporary.
Yeah, so you keep insisting on that.
Yeah, we keep insisting on that.
Yeah.
But being the human beings that we are,
Yeah, we're emotional.
Attachment always occurs.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's a bit difficult to remove this child.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll have to cut you short, Jane, because of interest of time. But if you can finish off in the next 30 seconds, I'll give you those 30 seconds.
Yes, I wanted to talk of the categories of persons who can take in children under foster care.
Very quickly.
A married couple can take in children under foster care, and one of them or both have to be between 25 and 65 years of age. A single person can also, a single woman can also take in a child, but they have to be 25 to 65 years. But they cannot take in, if it's a lady, they cannot foster in a child who is a boy. And the same happens to a single
vice versa.
Vice versa. And once that person is placed with that child, they are not allowed by law to remove a child outside of the jurisdiction of the Republic of Kenya unless with the leave of court. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was quite an interesting conversation about foster care and of course its effects. Thank you. That is Mercy Wamboi Mugo for Safeguarding Lead Organization, that is Tushinde Children's Trust. Asante sana for your time. And of course we have Jane Munuhe, the Assistant Director for Children's Services. We appreciate your time. Great work that you're doing, and we keep wishing you the very best in ensuring that these children do get the care that they deserve. When it comes to foster care, and yeah, we just hope that their needs are met. Thank you once again for coming here. And that marks the end of this conversation, which is foster care on this National Foster Care Week. I am Shiksha Arora. You're watching TV47. Don't go anywhere, because coming back